Hello again, folks, and welcome to another screencast on contemporary issues in PE and sport, so the sport and society section. And this particular screencast is going to be looking at gambling in sport. Now, as we know, gambling in the UK is not classified as deviant behaviour, so it's not outside of the rules or regulations of the UK government. However, in some countries, it is deviant behaviour, and we need to think about that when we're looking at gambling as a whole. So don't just think UK based, think about other countries as well. In particular with gambling, we need to understand three different aspects of gambling that are part of the specification that you'll be examined on. And these are as follows: match fixing, bribery, and illegal sports betting. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through each of those and give some simple examples to help apply to those different terms, and then think about what the impact is of gambling on individuals and society at large. Before we start thinking about those things, we need to understand why has gambling increased in the UK. Certainly in terms of the last 10 years, there's been a rapid increase in gambling overall. People find it really exciting to watch any sporting activity if they've got a bet on the outcome. Think of the Grand National, how exciting that makes watching that particular sport, the horse racing. But in terms of most sports, if you put some sort of bet on, it becomes exciting to individuals because there's an unknown degree of the outcome. Gambling itself has become a massive international and in fact global business worldwide, and therefore there is an increased nature of it in the UK because it's businesses promoting gambling as well as businesses being involved in gambling. We've got the rise of internet gambling sites, which I'm sure you all know, people like Bet365, Sky Bet, etc, etc. There are lots of different gambling sites that are available. There are now different opportunities to gamble on different aspects of games. So instead of what used to happen in the sort of late 1990s or even between the 1950s onwards, people would go to a betting shop and you would simply bet on the outcome or the result of the cricket match, of the football match, of the netball match, whatever. Nowadays, you can pause that game in a sense of we can bet on the score at half time or halfway through the game. We can bet on the score at the end of the first quarter. We can bet on how many rebounds there are in a basketball game. We can bet on how many passes or red cards there are. So there are lots of different individual aspects of the same sport and the same game going on. You can bet on individual things. Of course, we know from the history of sport from year one that the idea of wagering and gambling and drinking, all part of the British culture in association with sport. So that's also why it's increased. And finally, as I'll show you on the next slide, betting companies have become major sponsors of teams and clubs as well as sports themselves, and investing a lot of money into sport. It used to be in the 80s that cigarette companies were the main sponsors for lots of different sporting activities, but as the government removed the idea of advertising cigarettes and smoking in order to save people's health, betting companies have stepped in and taken that void and are plowing lots of money into sponsorship. For example, if you look at Football League Premiership team shirts, just in terms of the 9 that you see on the screen, they are all different betting companies that sponsor those clubs. And so they're really good examples of how betting companies and gambling is really promoted and accelerated at the moment because it's prominent everywhere within sport. Okay, so earlier on I spoke about the 3 different areas that you need to understand in gambling and sport and society. So this is area number 1, match fixing. So you'll need a definition of what it is to start with. Match fixing is where a sports competition is played to a predetermined result, i.e. I want the result to be this and I'm going to make that so. And to do that, you need to corrupt players, performers in that event, possibly coaches in that event, and certainly officials involved in that event. So let's say I'm a business owner and I want to fix a particular match. I will have to invite or corrupt a player in that particular team to help me to fix that result. And then what I will do once I know that result is going to happen, I will bet heavily on it. And that's the concept of match fixing. Spot fixing is where a specific aspect of the game is illegally predetermined. So, for example, if I am a big business and I want to bet on how many overs where England are batting in cricket where they don't score any runs, I can corrupt two of the players, two of the batsmen, and offer them a lot of money to say, look, just don't score any runs for 3 overs because I'm going to bet on that, and I'll bet a lot of money in 3 overs that they don't score any runs. And that's how the system works, and that's spot fixing, similar to match fixing. You'll need examples for your exam questions, and so here are 2 really good ones. So individuals that have been corrupted by match fixing. This person, Hansi Cronje, the South African cricket captain, he admitted to South African court and parliament and the media that he took £68,000 as payment from individuals to fix cricket matches for South Africa. So he took that money and then arranged certain players to support him to agree to fix certain results in condition that he took payment for that. And then obviously businesses would bet on the results that he was fixing, and the businesses would earn mega money from this. A second good example is snooker match fixing in 2012, whereby John Higgins and Stephen Lee were accused of match fixing, and what they were doing is deliberately losing, winning, drawing snooker games for a certain fee that they were taking home. So again, they were fixing specific results. The second aspect of gambling you need to understand is called bribery, and that's where referees, umpires, judges, players and coaches, we offer them a specific amount of money, some sort of gift or compensation in exchange for a specific result or an outcome. A really good example of this was in the London 2012 Olympics, when Azerbaijan were boxing against Japan, and the Japanese individual fighter had knocked down the Azerbaijan fighter quite a few times in the rounds, and he still got back up. They didn't discount the Azerbaijan fighter, and the outcome of the final result, even though very clearly that the Japanese fighter won the bout, was that Azerbaijan won. And what had happened was, it came out that Azerbaijan had corrupted, they'd bribed the referees and judges in that particular bout so that they would win at all costs, and they were paying lumps of money or gifts to the judges. So there's a really nice example there of bribery in recent sport for your exams. Finally, we have the concept of illegal betting. As I mentioned earlier before, betting is legal in the UK, but in other countries it's illegal. And in certain states in either Australia or America, it is against the law to gamble or to bet on particular sporting outcomes. This includes online betting. The classic case is in Eastern Asian countries, and you have countries like India where it is against the law to bet in any way, and the sport itself has a code of conduct for unethical behaviour if individuals do bet in those countries. However, it happens a lot, and in big business in Asia, India in particular, they will bet heavily online or between themselves, illegally of course, because it's against the country's laws, to bet on particular matches and outcomes. So good examples of this are India versus England cricket matches, in particular the 2001 series, and over £400 million was taken in illegal betting by Indian business owners for those games. So it's a good example of illegal betting for your notes. Okay, so you've got the concept of gambling, but why do people gamble? Again, you'll need to make notes on this aspect of things in case this comes up as part of your questions. Clearly, and the most obvious answer, I suppose, is people gamble because they want to make money. The opportunity to go from rags to riches, again going back to historical studies or early concepts of sport and society, the poor always wanted or were interested in gambling to make money and to become rich. It can generate very large incomes for wealthy businesses because they have a lot of money to gamble with. So if the stake is higher, then they're making masses of money in terms of gambling opportunity. It's very addictive in nature, so once people start, they find it difficult to stop. It can be really exciting or thrilling, especially when it's on a knife edge in terms of the result. You don't know which way it's going to go, and you win that particular bet. So it's thrilling to people. And of course, for some individuals, it adds real interest to the sport that they're observing because they've got a spot bet on particular aspects of an individual game, or they've got a bet on the outcome. The issues with gambling are these. Of course, it's addictive in nature, and so you could become a gambling addict, and that spirals very quickly out of control from simple small bets to larger and larger bets, and it becomes a real total addiction for individuals. The net effect of that is that individuals can lose lots of money. They may lose possessions such as their house, mortgage, cars. So large financial sums can be lost. Similar to some drug taking effects, the addiction of gambling can create really big mood swings, and it's really dependent on results. So you may have an individual who's bet heavily on a game and won, and they'll be very happy for one particular day. The next day they might take all of those winnings and gamble again, and they might lose it all, and so you've got this unpredictable nature and mood swings, all dependent on the results of what they're betting on. In net effect, if those results go negative for that individual or business, you may find aggressive behaviour very common for gamblers, and that could then spiral into violent behaviour. And of course, we know from speaking earlier on, it's illegal in nature for some countries, so you could get prison sentences in certain countries for that. Okay, thanks once again for watching. Please, if you need any more help with OCR A-level PE, head to our YouTube channel at iSpeakpe, and I'll see you again next time.